How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to HGO, the show where we talk about everything that's hot in the world of gaming. I am one of your hosts, Ethan, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host with the co-most, it's Hunter. Hey Hunter, how are you doing?
Alright, so you know the carpenter in Breath of the Wild, Bolson?
Oh god, no, I don't.
What do you think of him?
I think I missed swell, to be honest. I feel like this...
I'm doing swell, by the way, but
yeah.
Apparently a whole bunch of people don't like the fact that he never leaves that tree after you upgrade all of your stuff.
Who knows? I don't know.
I think they're a bunch of ingrates.
Oh, well, there you go.
Man, it's like your own little personal groundskeeper.
Well, there we go. We're also joined by the wee wonder himself. It's Kyle. Hey, Kyle, welcome back. Haven't you missed this?
I've never played Breath of the Wild, so I have no opinion on this man.
Hey, well, here you go. I don't even remember him, so we're doing great, dude. We're doing great.
You buy the house from him.
Yeah.
Like Animal Crossing?
Yeah, that is a video game. I remember everything about that one. No,
yeah, it's almost been a year.
Yeah, it has. Jeez. But no, I honestly don't remember anything. It's been a weird week for me today. This week. It's been a weird week. Only today has it been a weird week.
I spent all day training him. Or I spent all year training him last week.
But no, it's been a weird week because I've been trying to play Persona, failed at that. And I've been trying to stop myself from getting too heavily back into Stardew Valley because it started taking over my life again. Where I've played it for like 8 hours the past couple of days. It's not good.
If I didn't leave to hang out with my brother this weekend, I probably could have finished Persona. But now I have to wait and do it this week.
Yeah, truly tragic. I don't know when I'm finishing this game at this point. I've only just done Dungeon 2. Anyway, we're going to move on.
I didn't buy Persona 5 Strikers, so I have no opinion.
Oh, thank you, Kyle. Useful as always. And if you didn't know, this is
what I'm here for.
This is HGO, where every week Kyle shows us just how useful he is about everything in the world of games. You can find us on podcast services everywhere. Spotify, Amazon, Google Play, you name it, we're on it. Head on over to Linktree. That's linktr.ee/hotgamesonly. And you can get the podcast on your chosen platform each and every Monday at 12 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. UK time. And hey, if you want to see our stupid faces, look at us as we say stupid things and know nothing about video games, you can head on over to bit.ly/HGOYT, and you can get the video version of the podcast at the exact same time. And while you're there, hit us with a subscription. We're trying to get to 100 subs. It'd be great. We're almost at the 1 year anniversary. So hey, find a friend and tell them to subscribe and find another friend and keep the train going, because man, we really need to get to 100 subscribers. Choo-choo indeed, Hunter. Choo-choo indeed. Bit of housekeeping for you this week. It is well and truly March now. I didn't realise that it was March for last week's episode because we recorded it in February, so I didn't realise it had been March, so I didn't mention this. But hey, March is the 1 year anniversary of HGO. It's coming up in just a few weeks. So hey, look forward to a special anniversary episode in a week and a half. It's a week and a half, isn't it?
Yikes.
Yeah, so next week you'll be getting 2 episodes of HGO. You'll have your regularly scheduled tragic one on the Monday, and then you'll have a self-indulgent, also terrible one on the Friday, so look forward to that one. All ready for the 1 year anniversary, which is in 2 weeks' time, which is crazy to think that we've done this a year. It simultaneously feels like it's been decades and a couple of days. It's crazy. How we will have 52 episodes of this thing in just a couple of weeks. Crazy. Thank you so much for the support, guys. We do appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
We will be continuing. We'll have some fun surprises as well in store for March. But hey, try and get us to 100 subs as quickly as possible so we can have a URL. That'd be great. That's what we want. What do we want for our birthday? A YouTube channel URL. Please, guys. Make some alts. Do anything. Get us there.
Some alts.
We love you.
We don't care at this point.
We don't care. Also, as always, just for all updates on HGO, you can head on over to the Twitter at HotGamersOnly. We're also, within the next week or so, I will finally be doing the Crash 4 ACG run that we promised you for hitting 75. It is happening within the next week, whenever I have some free time, and the Crash 4 next-gen port is out, which is on Friday. So anytime after Friday, be sure to check out the Twitter where we'll confirm it, and we probably will confirm it on a podcast as well. But with that out of the way, I guess we should get into the topic of today's episode, which is, there's many ways to describe this, and yes, don't you worry, guys, you have well and truly been clickbaited, I assure you. The way I have written it down, which is how it should be in the title, is things we love in terrible video games and vice versa. So, the topic of this week's episode, guys, is essentially, we have got lists of terrible games that we love something about in it, and we also have a list of games that we think are bad but have something great in it. So we're going to do both. I think I said both twice. One with bad,
yeah, I think you said
bad games with a good thing in it, good games with a bad thing in it. There we go. Clear the air. It's way too complicated. I spent about 45 minutes trying to title this episode because Hunter gave me this to work with, so we're just going to go with it. So hey, well, yeah, don't look at me like that. Find something that's easy to title next time.
You know what? Maybe you should find the topics then.
I'll find.
Who puts things in the ideas channel?
You know what? I'll find a topic when you guys spend the 4.5 hours getting it up on everything, and then we'll talk. Okay? It's a Sunday, guys. I'm gonna be up till 4 or 5 doing this. Feel sad for me. Man. Feel sad for me. Anyway, topic time.
Good.
How rude. Topic time, ladies and gentlemen. So, yes. We're going to start with things we love in terrible video games. Round 1, we're going to go back and forth. So, hey, you can check out the timestamps down below. Look for games and then think to yourself, is it a bad game that's good, got good things in it, or a good game that's bad? We might judge your favourite game and say it's terrible. So go and check the timestamps if you want to find out. Or, if you want to do us a favour, listen to it all so we can do better on YouTube. It's up to you. Hey, I'm just giving people the options, dude. They can either skip and doom us, or they can watch the whole thing and watch us thrive. And by thrive, I mean not affect us whatsoever. So it's your choice. Hunter, I'm going to start with you because you always start these things. So go ahead, Hunter. What have you got for us this time around? What's your first game that is terrible, but you love something about it?
All right. Well, I have often been critical of Resident Evil 5 in the past. I take my little jabs at that game pretty frequently, and with good reason. But there is a shining light once you get through a lot of it, and that is Albert Wesker in the way that DC Douglas performs him. The man is a cackling Saturday morning cartoon villain, and it's amazing. Chris will be walking up. I should have probably looked into this a little bit more before we recorded this, but I have Resident Evil fresh on the mind because I just finished Code Veronica earlier, and it's basically the same principle as he was in that, except even more wacky. Chris will be walking up, be like pointing his gun at him, and Wesker will laugh at him and then do this superhuman run and punch him. And then like in 5 he starts teleporting around. It's all sorts of goofy, and in the game that I already couldn't take seriously as a horror game, I was willing to be like, oh yes, let's just go all in on the bad guy. I hate the good guys anyway, so I hope he wins.
Right, you're gonna have to kind of explain to me why Resi 5's a bad game, because I've heard people say that Resi 5's a bad game, but I've not played it. So why do people consider it terrible? It is
bad because it is in gaming's most famous horror franchise, and it is a generic third-person action shooter, essentially. And there's a cooperative element, and the AI is brain dead. It's genuinely the scariest part of the game, is the partner AI. Other things wrong with it include, it's a scary game, quotes, most of it takes place in broad daylight. And which just gives the whole mid-2000s washed out look.
Oh, the classic the PS3 graphics. I love it.
Yeah, the PS3 classic there, essentially. Yeah. Chris Redfield's boring. His new partner, Sheva, is boring. It could be, fair enough to the game. It could be redeemable if you get a friend to play with you, and you yuck it up that way.
Just kind of laugh at the silliness.
But I don't have very many friends, so I played this game by myself. That's why I chose Albert Wesker as the shining light in this game.
Now, it's interesting, because I always hear 5 and 6 are always the Resident Evil games that people tend to not care for. So to me, it's always just interesting finding out, because to me, I just have no clue about it, because I'm just brain dead when it comes to Resident Evil. I've never played it, so...
See, it's interesting, because 4 started tipping the scale. Actually, they all kind of started tipping the scale ever so slightly towards more action as time went on. It was just 5 was the one that tipped it too far and just became a full-on shooter, and it was boring.
Oh. Well, yeah, there you go. Kyle, what have you got for us?
So, I think we'll get the thumbnail one out of the way first.
Oh no! What else will they? How will we lead them through the rest of the video?
Hey man, I don't want to clickbait them too much. But something that I like in a game that I don't particularly like is the whole world of Overwatch.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Overwatch has a really, really interesting world and lore and a really cool story to tell. A lot of super unique characters that are all just super fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
But
I
think the thing that shoots Overwatch in the foot is the fact that none of that is given in context of the game. You have to go out of your way to find any of this.
In Overwatch 1, yeah. They're trying to remedy it, and they were trying to remedy it in Overwatch 2, but who knows when that's coming out? I don't.
And that's why I'm kind of looking forward to Overwatch 2, because just for whatever story mode it has to offer, because as it stands now, Overwatch 1 is just a competitive shooter, which I'm not good at.
Yeah.
I'm not good at first-person shooters. So
hey, neither am I.
I can only get so much mileage out of Overwatch.
Yeah. I should probably classify that you just don't like Overwatch. You don't think it's a terrible video game. I feel like we should specify this before the Overwatch people come at us and lynch us. Because so you have been slightly clickbaited on that one. But I do agree that the world of Overwatch is fantastic. If we it is like the Overwatch cinematics that they do, which they haven't done one in a long time. The last one that they did was Recall, which was the Overwatch 2 announcement. They're always brilliant, to the point where they're what made me fall in love with Overwatch. Was I didn't get Overwatch at launch, but I kept seeing these amazing cinematics of Pixar level quality of just story and these characters, and that's Blizzard nails world building every time. It seems like whether it's WoW, whether it's Diablo, whether it's now with Overwatch, it seems that they always nail the world building and the characters. And Overwatch is no different. It's a shame that they decided, oh hey, let's do all this PvE content, all this story content in Overwatch 2 and not in the original. But no, it is a bit of wasted potential.
Just all the world building.
You go first.
I was just going to say, all the world building is just designated to supplementary stuff that you may not even know exists.
Yeah.
Unless you try and find it.
Mm-hmm.
But go on, Hunter.
Yeah. I've always looked at Overwatch, and I think that the characters in the world are interesting, too. I've always looked at it and been like, oh, boy, I might try you out if you were like a fighting game or something.
Yeah.
Like, all the characters are uniquely bizarre enough to, fill out rosters.
They all stand apart from each other.
They could all tell their own little section of something in like an arcade ladder, story mode type of thing. With their own little endings and
I'm grateful that it isn't a fighter for the sole fact of Overwatch. In a way, Overwatch has done to shooters what fighting games have had all along, which is these interesting rosters and character designs. Whereas before Overwatch, very rarely did you have a shooter where you had interesting and unique characters and a kind of hero shooter kind of mechanic where you had different characters playing different. Overwatch kind of revitalized the genre for me. Yeah, whereas I don't think I would. Yeah.
TF2 videos, the goofy videos and like Team Fortress.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even Team Fortress.
Content creators to make like Halo characters interesting with the likes of stuff like Red versus Blue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And even in stuff like TF2, I always feel like the cutscenes are slightly interesting, but even then I'm like, it still has this art style that everything fits to, and nothing the characters are there, they're classes, but they don't necessarily to me scream unique. They all feel like they're cut from the same cloth. So there's nothing like particularly interesting about any of them other than oh, this one's Australian, and that's about it. Whereas with Overwatch, it does feel like every character has its own unique silhouette. It has its own unique personality and background in relation to the world.
All of their taunts tell who they are, what kind of character they are.
It very much, to me, it kind of boosts to the point where I'm not as fond of this idea of hero shooters as I was when Overwatch was originally a new idea. Now that everyone else has tried their fucking hand at it, I'm a bit sick. Especially when everyone... Yeah, especially when everyone does it terribly. Like with Fortnite, it's like, yeah, oh look, we have all these interesting skins. I'm like, yeah, but I just don't like the Fortnite aesthetic from the start. So it's like, I don't really care. Or Call of Duty, who has now very much gone for, oh yeah, we'll have characters. They all play the same because it's still Call of Duty, but we have these characters you can play as. And it's like, well, I don't care.
Yeah, one of those ones that came out a couple of years ago. Everyone got like a special move that did the same thing if you clicked the sticks together.
Yeah, they did like specialist abilities in Black Ops 3 and 4, and they
have a melee kill that I can just click this and make my friend who's better at the game than me die a few times.
Yeah. Which I guess we can talk about. We can move on to Call of Duty because that is actually you did, because that's one of mine is things we love in terrible games. The zombies mode in Call of Duty. The worst part of the zombies mode in Call of Duty is that it's attached to Call of Duty. That is the worst part of it. Is someone has to buy Call of Duty to play this really good co-op mode. It's like an actual tragedy. Because here I am buying Call of Duty games, and like if you look at Cold War, I've put 200 hours into Cold War, and roughly 180 of those are zombies, and the other 20 hours is beating the terrible campaign for 10 and playing multiplayer for about 10, maybe 15 tops. I wish more people understood how good of a game mode Call of Duty Zombies is, because it's one of those things where, again, I feel like Call of Duty kind of re-envisioned co-op modes for a lot of games, but everyone thinks that other games did it because they were just like, oh, obviously other games did it because Call of Duty sucks, guys. I'm like, no, this isn't it. Like, I'm going to just quickly...
It's like when Splatoon 2 added in Salmon Run.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to quickly look something at... Yeah, Salmon Run, which is a direct copy of...
Honestly, yeah.
Yeah, of Call of Duty. I'm just going to quickly look something up just so that I can confirm. Yeah. So even stuff like Left 4 Dead, you'd probably think, oh, Call of Duty took inspiration from Left 4 Dead. No, they both came out in the same year. So there was no inspiration taken from Left 4 Dead. They're both... Like, when everyone sees these survival games, everyone's like, oh, Left 4 Dead's the origin of it. When no, they both came out in the same fucking month of that year, and it seems like everyone just goes, oh, Left 4 Dead's the culprit of this whole genre.
That might be a kind of like a Wolfenstein Doom kind of situation, where it was like Wolfenstein technically came first, but Doom made the whole idea more popular.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, Call of Duty Zombies is really popular. It's had its ups and downs. Its height was Black Ops 3. It's getting there. It's getting to the point where it's back in again, where Cold War is the one where everyone's like, holy shit, it's good again. Quickly, everyone, let's actually play it and enjoy it instead of bitching the whole way through like they did with Black Ops 4, so they cut the budget in half. But not bitter about that at all. But yeah, man, like I wish that it was standalone in the way that Warzone is standalone, just so more people could experience it without going, ooh, Call of Duty, walk away, run away, because it's a damn good co-op mode, and it's a damn shame. It has a weird Kingdom Hearts-esque bullshit story. It's so good.
It's funny too, because this is the kind of dumb thing that you could think that a company like Activision who loves them a good cash grab could be like, all right, what if we took this section and just packaged all of them together as a like collection disc.
Yeah, but they don't. It's weird.
Yeah,
it's very weird. But no,
and then they could just keep releasing them separately too after that.
Yeah, it's extremely weird. I also realized I didn't write a timestamp down, so sorry guys, that one might be a bit wrong. But I was just too damn passionate about zombies.
I get it.
Yeah, but man, I just wish more people would experience it, because it's tied to the dude bro aesthetic of Call of Duty, when really it's something quite different, and a lot of heart and soul goes into that series. So hey, big ups to Treyarch and all the people there that do their hardest to make something really cool in the most generic shooter on the planet. So yeah. There we go. I guess we should move on over for a little bit to stuff that we hate in amazing games for a little bit. We'll do a bit of a transition. Why not? So, Hunter, do you have something that you hate in a game that's everyone thinks is good?
Let me tell you, one of my favorite a game that I've played more times than any person reasonably should is Dragon Age Origins.
Okay.
And every time I play this game, there's always this section that is way too long, and I always dread going there. It is called The Fade. Mm-hmm. This happens when you're going up like this mage tower, and then your characters, your party, you get put to sleep and sent to like Dream World, essentially.
Nice.
You're separated from your party. It doesn't really matter because every time I do it, it's always the last thing I do, so my character can kind of tank through everything on his own, but it's boring. It's got this stupid like dreamy filter on it. The areas are sectioned off and disjointed and really annoying.
Yeah.
And it's way too long.
Yeah,
like,
nice.
Normally, Dragon Age Origins has this thing where you go off to the different places that need your help so you can assemble an army. Mm-hmm. Normally, each of those, after you get to like the part where you're in the thick of things, fighting things, takes a couple of hours. As, go off to help the dwarves after you settle all their politics garbage, go off adventuring into the like deep roads. And that's the couple of hours that you spend fighting things and going through a dungeon, essentially. Same with the elves and all that hoopla. When you get to the mage tower, you've already been doing like an hour and a half to 2 hours of climbing their stupid tower and fighting things, and then they just throw this extra hour of garbage at you, and it is the worst part of the game by far.
It's my favorite part of especially Western RPGs in general is the padding section, which is great, where it's like, yeah, we've got this 50-hour game, let's make it 52 and have them go through some bullshit that they're gonna forget or hate. Let's do it, guys. And then, hey, rub the hands together.
Actually, the community as a whole hates this so much. There's there's like a mod for the PC version that takes it out of the game.
Nice.
Too bad I play on the PS3.
Aww.
Yeah, but at least it does. At least I'm sure it doesn't look like a PS3 game, like your typical looking PS3 game, right?
Actually, Dragon Age is one of the few games where it is kind of like still gray and brown, but it does this in a way it has like a kind of grungy aesthetic to it, almost like grimy and dirty in a way that owns it rather than just kind of, oh, we're going for hyper realism and everything looks washed out because of it.
Motorbike was on our end, by the way. Don't worry if you're listening in the car. I feel like I should say that. No one is trying to overtake you. That was on our end.
My neighbors have no manners.
I tell you what, you should tell them. Don't they know you have a podcast to record, Hunter? God.
I'm just gonna buy some caltrops one day and throw them into the road.
Sounds like a great. That sounds like that would not go. That feels like that's going to be a great idea. But no, Dragon Age has been a franchise to me that it's one that I've looked at from a distance, but it's that BioWare syndrome where I have not played a single BioWare game. I have got through my entire life without playing a single BioWare game.
I get it, man. I constantly observed Mass Effect and never actually played it. And I'm like, oh man, you're like Dragon Age's more popular, nerdier cousin.
Yeah. And I don't know, I mean to, but hey, if there's one thing that I love, it's video game filler. So yeah, I can very easily see why that's on your list. So yeah, fair enough. Kyle, what do you hate?
I guess, kind of speaking of filler, there's this little PS1 game I played about a year ago now called Xenogears. And Disc 1, it's a 2-disc game. Disc 1, absolutely phenomenal. Loved every second of it. 40 hours of great JRPG goodness. Yes, inject that into my body right now. Then you put in Disc 2. Disc 2 sucks. So, Disc 2 was the result of a team full of a lot of new staff members, new, young, inexperienced staff members, as well as a general time crunch, because Final Fantasy VIII was coming out shortly, and Square needed more people from the Xenogears team to come work on finishing Final Fantasy VIII. And because of that, Disc 2 of Xenogears became, rather than going to places and exploring the world and learning more about your antagonists and stuff like that, it became Faye and Ellie get put in a box in a big black void. They sit in a chair and they just tell you, we went to this place and here's what we did.
Oh no.
And that is a lot of Disc 2.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not all of it, it's just the large majority of Disc 2. And then it's capped off with an overly long, confusing dungeon and a 5-part final boss fight.
Nice.
5 or 6-part final boss. It's
more than Kefka.
Like, it goes from absolutely nothing to everything in the span of 20 hours, and it kind of feels like we kind of jumped the shark from going from point A to point B in that disc. It's really a shame, because Xenogears had the chance to be something great, but now Square Enix holds it hostage in their basement and occasionally sprinkles it into Final Fantasies. I learned recently that World of Final Fantasy has a Xenogears boss in it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Because Square needs to hold on to that IP. We need to hold it tight. Never give it back to Tetsuya Takahashi. This is ours. Quickly put a Geno-looking doll in Kingdom Hearts 3. They'll never know.
No, but if there's one thing that I hate, especially after playing a load of JRPGs the past couple of years, is exposition, man. I'm sick of exposition. And it actually leads into my first one, which is great, which is actually is a franchise, not a game. But if we're talking about exposition, there's one franchise that I like to consider like Exposition Everest. If you get that reference, let me know in the comments and I'll heart it. But one thing I think is the peak of exposition, that's fucking Danganronpa. Right.
Yep.
Yeah, you knew it was coming. You know it was coming. Danganronpa is a great visual novel. Danganronpa 2 is also good. Not as good as the first one. Everyone that thinks that the second one's better, get off your fucking high horses.
I don't understand why.
You guys are
the worst part of the series, isn't it?
The people that love Danganronpa 2 are the people that go, ooh, it's the beach episode, hooray, when they watch an anime, dude, and not just going, oh, it's the filler episode. I could probably skip this, to be honest. It's not as filler as I'm making it out to be, but man, like, I really love the vibe of Danganronpa 1. And Danganronpa 2 goes, what if we do that vibe, but remove the vibe and have it on a beach? And that's about it. And I'm like, okay, not vibing as much with this one. And fucking hell, the fruit house. We're not getting into it. The fucking fruit house.
That could be its own thing in this.
The fucking worst. It's the worst. The glasses are coming off. It's the worst. I hate it.
Persona.
Fucking fruit house. But anyway, other than fruit house, which if I was just picking just Danganronpa 2, the answer would be fruit house sucks in Danganronpa 2. That would be the entry for that. But for Danganronpa as a series, it's exposition, man. Because, my god, it's as if the writers were being paid by the word and not by the quality. Because the amount of times that they'll be like, the door was locked, I checked. You mean to tell me that the door was locked? Yes, I saw that door, it was definitely locked. But what
that
about
door
the
right
door?
there?
Was it locked? Yes, it was locked. That door over there? Yes, that door over there. Cool, so I guess we can say the door was locked. Wait a minute. Are you telling me that the door was locked? Yes, it was.
It's like a who's on first routine.
Yeah. It goes on like that until the murderer gets sick of talking about the door and just goes, I fucking killed them, end my life, I'm done with this, I can't take this anymore. And that's Danganronpa. The thing with Danganronpa is it literally goes over every minuscule detail when it doesn't need to. And it goes over it in such a snail's pace that you feel like you're 5 steps ahead of them, and it just makes you angry. Because Because there are times when the game is really clever, but then it holds your hand through every little moment that it's like, no, this is dumb. Because if you're telling me about the door for 25 minutes, and now you want to show me something cool, I'm like, no, you've pissed me off by expositioning your head off. And both the endings to both of those games are the worst in terms of that. The amount... 3 hours of just one person monologuing at you. And the whole aim of Danganronpa, for those of you who haven't played it, in the end game, is to basically prove who the mastermind is in both of them. Is you proving who the mastermind is. And not only does the mastermind exposition the hell out of you so that you know who it is, but then they hold your hand through it and go, oh, I'm going to help you beat me. Come along, and hold your hand through that as well. It's so dumb. Like, I love Danganronpa. There's some really clever cases in Danganronpa. In particular, I think the first cases in both games are a great introduction to mysteries and visual novels. I think the case 2 in Danganronpa 1 is exceptional, probably the best in the series. There's some cool twists in the ending of Danganronpa 1 with chapters 5 and 6. They're pretty interesting. And then in chapter 2 in Danganronpa 2 is also interesting, if not a bit simple. Chapter 5's cool as well, but it's extremely obvious.
You're really feeling the down after the
lows of chapter 4.
chapter.
Yeah, after the lows of chapter 4, chapter 5 is like, this is good, but I've worked it out. Can we get going towards the end now? But no, exposition in Danganronpa fucking kills those games for me, to the point where it's like I need an 8-month break before I even consider buying Danganronpa V3, because I'm just like, I don't know if I can deal with people screaming about windows at me again. I really can't.
Did you mean to tell me their windows have been covered?
Yeah.
I also want to add this on. I watched the Danganronpa anime when Ethan was playing through the Danganronpa 1. And my god, that last episode just felt like it went on for an eternity, and it was only like 20 minutes.
Yeah, you should try playing the video game equivalent.
The short version.
I don't wanna.
And it's as if they went, you know what people loved in Danganronpa 1? That exposition at the end, so let's make it longer in 2. And I'm like, you can't be kidding me. Like, this is incredible. But no, I love Danganronpa to pieces. There's a lot of good stuff that I like about that series. But man, does it not know when to just let the player work it out themselves. So there you go. That's my main problem with Danganronpa. So anyway, I think we should go back to games that we hate, because we clickbaited them, so we should probably go back to that topic. Hunter, what game, like, irks you to the core, dude? What gets you fucking up at night going,
Perfect. Final Fantasy 15 is one that I've been the most vocal about my disdain for on this podcast. I should say that I did not know that he was picking FF15. I didn't realize I was giving a flamboyant intro to him just talking about FF15 again. I swear, guys, I swear. But to give credit where credit is due, about 2/3 of the way through the game, they have a really cool sequence with Leviathan that actually feels like a Final Fantasy game. They've got some really sweet music to go along with it. You're fighting this giant monster in this really cool, bombastic scenario. And I was finally into the game for a minute after like 25-ish hours, I think. The whole area around it was cool too. It was like this city that was situated over water. It looked really cool. I'm like, oh yes, finally something that from a distance feels like a unique location.
You know, you have put me off FF15. I own technically 2 copies of that game. I apologize
for coloring your potential opinion of this.
The Earth is trying. Like, there's someone out there that's trying to get me to play it, because I bought it super cheap, and then so I have 1 copy, and then it's part of the PlayStation Plus collection. So it's like a sign from the heavens going, "Here's another copy. Play it. I know you hate disc games, especially on the PS5. So here's a digital copy. Play it." And I'm still like, maybe one day. I've got more chance of me playing 16, to be honest, than 15. So, yeah. I don't know. Like, people do like 15. There is a group of individuals that do like it, but to me, it's just like, it's just 4 emos in a car, and I'm just like, I don't know if I'm down for this.
You don't want to hang out with the Choco Bros?
I hate Noctis and his friends. This is, much like Resident Evil 5, this is a game where I started rooting for the villain out of spite.
Oh my god.
So there's that. There's that section there, and I've went over my beef with how it doesn't capture the vibe of Final Fantasy the way I want.
Yeah, it's
Before.
it's an interesting game. One day I hope to play it and make my own opinions on it. But for now, I'll just be jaded towards it.
With that.
Yeah. But now I'll just be jaded towards it, like everyone in the podcast should be. That's what we do. We're brainwashing everybody so they have the same opinions as us. That's the reason. That's the real reason. But no, I respect it.
Yeah.
So bouncing off of that, heading over to more Square Enix RPGs.
Oh no!
And
please.
games we've been openly openly not happy with. Kingdom Hearts 3 is a video game.
Oh, this will be good because I love Kingdom Hearts 3. If not just because I actually like the game, but I just like how we both have differing opinions on it. That's what I like about Kingdom Hearts 3. But anyway, carry on.
I don't hate Kingdom Hearts 3. At this point, I'm kind of just indifferent towards it. I'm probably never going to go back and replay it. It was fun for a first playthrough. I'm glad that I even streamed my first playthrough, so I have all of my reactions to it. But as a whole, I'm kind of just on the game. But one thing that I really loved was the Remind DLC that came out about a year after the game's release.
We have the complete opposite opinions of this video game, and I love it. Every time I think about it. You're like, I hate Kingdom Hearts 3, but I love Remind. And I'm like, I love Kingdom Hearts 3, but I hate Remind. And I love that. I genuinely do.
So the Remind DLC comes in 3 parts. One is just a replay of the last world of the game, which, alright, cool.
Yeah, which is shit.
The last,
90% of the people bought it for. 90% of the people bought it for that one part. And man, was it a shit part to get. So there you go.
The last 2 parts are, one, a super boss gauntlet of the 13 members of the new Organization 13. And the last part is another super boss against Yozora. Holy cow. These are 14 of the greatest bosses I've ever fought in any video game. I think that they're, for the most part, all masterfully balanced. They're, for the most part, fair. And they will certainly challenge the player to learn how to play the game, how to understand all of your mechanics, how to dodge, how to block. And everything just works so well that I come back to Kingdom Hearts 3 just for those boss fights. Yozora is still, like, the peak. You could argue, like, maybe KH2 Sephiroth or Lingering Will, but honestly, I don't see it. I think Yozora, between his moveset and everything he has going for him, all the mystery going forward, I hope Square Enix doesn't ruin it. I hope Nomura doesn't give him a Keyblade. But I think Yozora, as a character right now, as of March 8th, 2021, is a very cool character. And I'm excited to see what happens with him. Ethan, go.
I have a lot of respect for Kingdom Hearts 3, especially I watched my friend Ed play it recently again. And I do have a lot of respect for that game. My main problem is I feel like if Remind's bosses had been included in the base game, then it would have been the perfect Kingdom Hearts game, because you have that end game content for the people that want it. But in terms of a base experience for getting people in, Kingdom Hearts 3 was the perfect game for that. It's the most accessible game. It's the easiest game, which a lot of hardcore Kingdom Hearts fans hate the fact that it's super easy. But in terms of getting people in the door into the game, it was the best thing for it. Its beginner mode, to me, is the first time where a beginner actually means beginner. Because to me, it's always felt like, beginner is basically, all intents and purposes, that's your standard mode. If you're going normal, you're going to have a tough time, and you're still going to have to like properly have a go. You're probably going to fail a couple of bosses a lot of times, especially in Kingdom Hearts 1. Yeah. And then, I can't remember what the highest difficulty is called because I forgot. Critical.
Proud?
Not critical. Proud. Critical's its whole other beast. But Proud in general
Critical
is for, hey.
After the fact in KH3.
But Proud is your mode for like, okay, you're really wanting to go into it. And I feel like Proud is a little bit too easy on Kingdom Hearts 3, but I feel like if they had just turned the difficulty up a tiny bit on Proud, you would have had the perfect balanced mechanics for everybody involved, because beginner finally felt like a friendly mood, where Ed hated the combat in a lot of Kingdom Hearts games just because, to him, he's just there to have a fun time and not to have fucking Roxas beat the shit out of him when he's even on an easy fucking difficulty. Yeah. You know? So I feel like it strikes that perfect balance. I feel like if Remind's content was added, it would have been a perfect game because everybody would have won. Everyone would have had something to love about that game. I think it's overhated. To be honest, I think it's a really high quality game, to be honest. The more I keep looking at it, I'm like, how the fuck did they spend this much money on this? How did they get so much money for this game? It still baffles me. And I'm looking forward to the future because it feels like this team's finally hit its stride with what they feels like they finally understand what Kingdom Hearts is. They've made all these 3DS and PSP games that were shit that no one enjoyed, except the few of you crazy fuckers that like Birth by Sleep and Dream Drop, which
I don't know what's wrong with you people. Birth by Sleep I can understand. If you like Dream Drop, you need to go get help.
I can't understand Birth by Sleep, to be honest. It's a terrible game. The story's alright, but the game itself is absolutely terrible,
but I can understand why someone might enjoy it. Dream Drop, I don't understand any fun in that. There is no fun in that game.
But it feels like the Kingdom Hearts team finally hit their stride with KH3.
The Osaka team really hit their stuff with KH3, and honestly, my biggest issue with KH3 is a lot of the boss fights. They're just not fun in base KH3. But when Remind came around and we got all of these super bosses, I'm like, okay, Osaka team, That's why I think it would have. That's why I think both of them together is what the perfect package is, because you still need. Yeah. I still feel like you need those accessible boss fights in the main game for new members of the audience, especially when they're doing this new story now, which will hopefully be a better jumping in point for everybody. But hopefully,
to me, it's very much like. To me, it's very much like, oh, you need that mix of both, because without both, you're going to have both. The casuals might be entertained, but the hardcore audience is always going to be louder on Twitter. So
yeah, and like until we got Remind for a year, all we had was this limp ass super boss in the Keyblade graveyard. I don't even remember what it's called. I think it's like Dark Inferno or something.
Yeah, it was really easy.
God, that looks like a dork.
It's just a generic Heartless with swords.
Yeah, it looks like it would have been like an endgame thing. It would have been a regular endgame monster in one of the other ones, not a super boss.
It just looked like the Invisibles from KH1, just more souped up. And that's the only super boss we had for a year. Not even like Sephiroth or Olympus Cups to do on the side either, because we're Kingdom Hearts 3 and we don't need Final Fantasy characters. Bruh.
I mean, when they added them, I wasn't that impressed, to be honest, anyway. So I was like,
they were just ham-fisted in. Like,
yeah.
It's easier to get away with just throwing people in if they're a super boss and an optional thing. Like Sephiroth just showing up, I'd always be cool with that.
Dude, I'm still holding out hope for my Gilgamesh super boss. It's never gonna happen, but man, do I want it to happen.
Right. Anyway, I'm going to do a quick one because we talked a lot about Kingdom Hearts 3, and this podcast is going to be forever if we keep going at the rate we're going. So I'm going to say a quick.
Hunter and I have no idea how long we've been going for.
43 minutes. Anyway, woo, long episode. Woo, Ethan's up till 7 now. Way! Longer it is, the more rendering he has to do. Let's fucking go. It's okay. I'll just play Stardew Valley. I'll live. Anyway, AC Unity. AC Unity. Is a game that is a very bad video game. But, man, I always get annoyed at the reason that game is bad is because it was rushed out the fucking door, a bit like Cyberpunk, and was never fucking finished. Hopefully Cyberpunk will be finished, maybe one day. But
maybe the new consoles version.
Yeah, but Assassin's Creed Unity is a buggy mess, but underneath the bugs is genuinely one of the best stories in the Assassin's Creed universe. You can find me on that one, you fucking kids. And also the best fucking parkour system in any Assassin's Creed ever. It's the only one where you truly have free control. It's actual free run. It's the only one where it's actual free run, where you have buttons that let you go up, let you go down, grab things, or you've got a grab button. You've got everything. It's got the best parkour system in any Assassin's Creed games. The first time where I felt like I was totally in control. It's just a shame the fucking game is a buggy mess and the missions are a bit shit. But man,
So
great
in this
parkour
one, there's no running up the wall and slipping and then accidentally jumping like 12 feet behind you.
No, it feels like super. You feel like you're super in control. Like
That
you
happened a lot with Ezio's stuff.
It's the first game where you have a button which is a climb down button. So instead of just dropping to your death and grabbing things, hopefully, fingers crossed, there's an actual like parkour down and up systems. There's everything. It's super complex. It's not simple to learn. It's kind of hard to master, which I also like because Assassin's Creed movement always feels like, oh, I'm just holding 2 buttons down and now I'm a god. So it was quite nice. But man, Assassin's Creed Unity, it's a bad game in the state that it's in, but I really liked the story and man, the parkour system in that. And it's a shame that they fucking butchered it. They made it baby shit again in Assassin's Creed Syndicate, and then Origins is in a fucking desert, so it doesn't matter because there's nothing to climb on. But no.
Very true.
Assassin's Creed Unity. One day Ubisoft loves making his fucking remasters. If they one day decide, you know what, we're gonna go back. They did a remaster of fucking Assassin's Creed 3. No one likes Assassin's Creed 3, Ubisoft. No one fucking likes that game. It's garbage.
I think people liked 3 more than they did Unity.
Pardon? No, it was also hated. But here's the difference. People hated Unity because it was a buggy mess. People hated Assassin's Creed 3 because it was a bad video game. It wasn't that buggy, it was just fucking awful. Anyway, I digress. If they ever do a remaster, which they will one day, because Ubisoft likes money, fix that game up, and I can guarantee people will like it a lot more the second time around. Anyway, there you go. Back to things we love round 2 in game. Is it things? It's games we love. I've written this terribly. I'll work it out in post. Whatever we're supposed to be doing.
We're on to hate in good games.
Yes.
Yeah, things we hate in good games. Thank you.
It's hard to keep all of this straight.
Love, hate, love. Yeah, that should be hate. That should be. Oh, I'm a fucking idiot. Go on.
All right. Well, this one's kind of symptomatic in a few of the same series here. Metal Gear Solids 1 through 3 always seem to have a part that you'd think that the padding would come from just the hilarious amount of cutscenes that are present in this game. And, arguable. But there's also padding in just the way they structure the missions sometimes. In MGS1, there's a part where you are fighting Sniper Wolf, but you don't have a sniper rifle. And you're like 3, and you have to run all the way back to the armory at the very beginning of the game. So that's like several screens where you're just backtracking, and then you have to run all the way back to the area where the fight is. And that's just several more of the same thing happening there.
Yeah.
And then after you beat the boss fight, that's where you need to go, is just beyond where you were fighting her, and Snake gets captured and taken back to the beginning again.
Oh my god.
So, yeah, that's a bit of a slog there in that part in the middle of the game. In MGS2, there's a padding section where you're taking this stupid science lady, Emma, around with you. You have to swim underwater. Her breath she can hold her breath as if like a toddler, basically. If she's under the water for more than 5 seconds, she dies. It's so annoying.
Nice.
So that makes things quite tedious. And then 3 does it very late in the game, and it's a bummer because it's like right in the climax. Essentially, your partner, kind of, in that game, Eva. There was a vehicle section right before, which was fine because it was just kind of moving along and you had to shoot things, and it wasn't very difficult. But right after that, your motorcycle gets flipped and she gets like stabbed by an errant tree branch or something. So you have to lead along your very your partner in critical condition while also, maneuvering around the last of these guards before you get to the final battle. Mm-hmm. My method in that was always just, I'm going to knock what's-her-face unconscious, and then I'm going to go deal with all of the guards, and then drag her over here. It's always faster that way.
That sounds like a Hitman solution to a puzzle.
Yeah, but So yeah, MGS 1 through 3 always pads the game in very frustrating ways. 4 was a bit more streamlined in that regard, at least, because they were moving around a little more.
Yeah. MGS, I will get to it at some point. I need to. Man. Especially because that's the thing, is I love Death Stranding. So it's like, I need to go back and play Kojima's other games.
The origin of Kojima's wacky ride.
Exactly.
He was always like this.
Yeah, he was always this.
Genuinely was.
Yeah. But
it's
no.
always kind of insane.
It's always pacing in Japanese games always seems to be interesting, to say the least. Like, it doesn't. Japanese games always tend to either overstay or understay their welcome. There's very few games that get it just right, it seems. But hey, there you go.
See, that's the thing, is I never would say that the MGS games have overstayed their welcome. By the time I get through the whole thing, it's just like this one part is always frustrating to get through.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Fair enough.
Okie dokie. So, Devil May Cry 5 is a video game.
Oh god, here we go.
That sure exists and has some pretty shitty boss fights in it, not gonna lie.
Okay. Well, this is it, guys. You're watching history. Get on the YouTube. This is the breakup of Hunter and Kyle. Watch it live. Let's
I don't know about that.
Where's the popcorn?
Friendship ended with Hunter.
Anyway.
No. On the whole, I don't dislike the boss fights in Devil May Cry 5, but they just feel a lot less good than how they were back in DMC 3. And I don't know if that's just from the new engine, the new technology, possibly a new team working on the games. I don't know. But whenever I fought the bosses, something just didn't click with me the same way that boss fights in 3 clicked. It didn't feel like there were any kind of roundabout solutions to how you can do damage, like the fights with Jester or Agni and Rudra in DMC 3. It just kind of felt like I was swatting at them until they eventually keeled over, and then I could punish, and then we do it all again.
Yeah.
But I forgive the game because it's capped off with Virgil, a great boss.
I've got nothing to add.
There are some of the bosses in DMC 5 that are a little annoying. Like, I don't really care much for Goliath or the one that sucked Lady up. The second one you fight is Nero.
My favorite.
I forget what that one's name is.
Was it the dude at the church?
That was Goliath.
Goliath. I don't know their names.
Yeah. The other one, the one after that, actually Nero gets the short end of the stick in a lot of the bosses, because the one following that with the stupid long legs you gotta climb, he also sucks. That's Gilgamesh. Sucks. But I like
level.
Yeah. I like Cavalier Angelo a lot. That one is
that
a
was
lot
a
of
good
fun.
one.
When I played Dante Must Die against that one, I was like, oh man, yes. Adrenaline pumping. I felt really good when I finally killed him. So I enjoyed him. I enjoy Malthus, the weird bird thing with the portals. I like that one quite a bit because anytime you implement portals in something, it's a lot of fun. So being able to hassle her with Nero's plethora of arms and whatnot was entertaining.
Oh, yeah. I remember that one now.
When Urizen finally stands up...
Oh my god, Urizen can go suck it. I hate him. Yeah. None of his fights were fun.
I like the last one you do against him with Dante.
I think that's the least bad one.
Because he actually is standing up and doing things. Like, he does this cool little, physical moves, and he has like a plethora of moves from the other bosses too. I feel like it's a really well fleshed out moveset that you gotta watch out for. It's just when you're fighting him sitting on his chair for
him in the throne
4 to 5 times,
when Dante
it gets old.
Hits Sin Devil trigger, that fight wasn't fun either.
Yeah.
The fact that you have to even get to damage him, you first have to break his shield, and
Yeah,
then
it's
you can attack
tedious.
him. Oh, and by the way, we have the same problem in that fight that Arkham has in DMC3, where projectiles can just come out of nowhere.
Yeah, Urizen I have issues with up until the final time you fight him.
Then
And
Mission 18, you had the petting zoo, where you fight all of these summons, which wasn't too egregious, but it also wasn't fun.
Yeah, it's not the best.
I don't know. On the whole, like, I find a lot of DMC5's bosses just average, to where I don't want to replay the game as much as I want to replay 3. But
I don't know. There's a lot of 3 to me also has a lot of average fights, like the horse and
oh my god, the horse!
And hearts.
The horse is worse than 5.
Oh, I forgot he was a boss in 5.
Right?
Okay.
Devil May Cry just stop doing horse fights. They're not good.
Yeah, fair enough. I think we should wrap this up before Ethan dies.
Hi, I wasn't going to say anything.
Real quickly, since he brought up Devil May Cry, though, the classic games have dumb platforming sections that do not need to be there. 1 does it, and 3 also does it, and they get in the way of the action quite a bit.
Like, I'll give DMC5's bosses this. At least I'm not shooting guns at a chopper.
Yeah, there's that.
Shout out to DMC2. Go on, Ethan.
Oh, am I allowed back in?
Wake up, we're done talking about Devil May Cry.
Fucking hell.
For now.
Right, well, yeah. Come back next week to see my life force drain again. Right, moving on.
You should play them. They're fun games.
I'm going to be quick again because Kyle keeps taking all the fucking long slots. So I'll just be quick again.
Getting any shorter.
I'm just gonna put 2 together because I have the same problem with both of them. The Last of Us Part 1 and Red Dead Redemption 2, because they are both casualties of this terrible, terrible disease called shitty game control syndrome, where they control like poop. Garbage. Awful. Fucking hell. I don't understand. Why does The Last of Us Part 1 feel like it has tank controls in the year 2013? I don't fucking know. Does Naughty Dog? They just came off Uncharted, which controls pretty well. And they obviously learnt from Uncharted 4, because Uncharted 4 feels great, and Last of Us Part 2 also feels great. It fixed all of my problems with Last of Us 1's gameplay. Man, I hate the way The Last of Us controls. It feels fucking awful. And I know some people like the feel of The Last of Us. I don't. Because when people think it feels hard and gritty, I feel it feels clunky and unintuitive. Those are the words I like to use.
The words I use to describe the gameplay of the first Last of Us is always good enough to get me from moment to moment in the story.
I mean, story's fantastic.
The second game is undisputably better in gameplay.
Yeah. Story's fantastic.
To be good enough.
Acting's incredible. But man, The Last of Us just has clunky. But I feel like the game that is the pinnacle of this is Red Dead Redemption 2. Red Dead Redemption 2 is one of my favourite games of all time. Now, I'm saying that with that prerequisite when I tell you that it's also one of the worst controlling games of 2018 when it came out. Because it feels no different, and at times worse, than Red Dead Redemption 1, which is a game that's 8 years older than it. It feels the same. Rockstar are absolutely terrible at this, where they have had their same control scheme since like GTA 3, and they've decided, no, this is the perfect control scheme, and it doesn't feel clunky as shit in the year 2018. We're going to do it. To put this into context, Kyle, the run button is you mashing the X button. To run, you mash the X button as much as you can.
Why?
Don't know. It's that way in GTA 5. It's that way in Red Dead 2. It doesn't make sense. It just controls awfully. The cover shooting is just fine. It does the job. It's like Hunter said, it gets you through because the game just auto locks you onto everything. So it's just pressing L2, R2, L2, R2. Look at me, I'm covered. What a great game. But it just makes me laugh how Rockstar gets away with having the two the highest critically acclaimed games on the PS4 generation, number 1 and number 2, are GTA 5 and Red Dead Redemption 2. And they have the same control scheme, and they're both fucking garbage in terms of controls. I hate the way Rockstar games play. Saying that, Red Dead Redemption 2 has one of the best stories, I think, that's in a game, and the performances in that game are fucking phenomenal. And every time, I was having a conversation with my friend Eamon about this when he was talking about best performances in gaming, and I forgot to mention Red Dead, which I did, and I hated myself the hours that I was editing it, because I was like, I forgot to mention Red Dead. This is a fucking atrocity. Because my god, the performances, especially Roger, I think his name's Roger. No,
that's the other guy.
Roger Clark.
Never mind.
I think it's Roger Clark, who plays Arthur Morgan. Phenomenal actor, and my god, the acting in that game is top notch. It's just a shame that they control like poop. Rockstar, please. That's my one request for GTA 6.
I haven't played Red Dead 2 yet, but from observing what my brother played at one point, it seems like for as much creativity as it tries to promote in the open world, the mission structure, like when you're actually doing missions, is really rigid.
It's extremely
you have to do things exactly the way they want you to, or it doesn't count. That would be really annoying, especially because it's like contradicting what it wants you to do when you're not doing missions.
It's annoying, but I'd accept it if it controlled well, and it doesn't. Yeah. Like I say, the fact that we're still using tap X to sprint and square to jump in the year 2018 is fucking criminal. Yeah. Yeah, dude. Yeah, you love to see it.
Why?
It's great.
Did Rockstar just hate people?
Yeah.
Like
they do. It's true. Rockstar hates people. You heard it here first. There's a scoop. But no, I'm done talking about it. Do you want to quickly do another round of things that we love in bad games and hate? We'll see if we do another hate. We'll see if we have time with how long cows are. So we'll see. So we're going to do one final round at least of things we love in games we hate. So
short.
Hunter,
sorry, sir.
What's your final game that you hate? That you like something about?
The list of games that I dislike, like well and truly, is very short. So this next one is Valkyria Revolution, and oh my god, I should not have played all of this game. But I kept going because conceptually, it's not bad. Basically, this group of orphans had their caretaker murdered when they were really young.
Classic.
So the premise is really cool because that happens, and then what they did was basically they grew up to become these really influential members of the society of the I don't remember what the country is in that particular game anymore, but they grew up to become like this one dude was a really successful news reporter, this other dude was a politician, the other guy was a general, so on and so forth. Basically, they instigated a war with an empire to take revenge because the empire is the people who killed their caretaker. That's a really cool idea on paper, but oh man, the story spins its wheels for the whole time up until it's like, oh man, we got to do something at the end here. And it's just really frustrating. You have basically 3 boss fights, and one of them is the same thing several times.
Mm-hmm.
The characters aren't as well written or endearing as Valkyria Chronicles was, so that's also a bummer. They somehow managed to take the storybook aesthetic of Valkyria Chronicles and muddy it up to make it grittier, and it just made all the character models look ugly. Nice. So there's that. Yeah. Valkyria Revolution frustrates me to no end.
Hey, I have nothing to add because I don't know. I know nothing about Valkyria other than I know that I'd hate Valkyria Chronicles. That's all I know. It's because I hate strategy games.
This one isn't even a strategy game. It's more like half-baked, almost Musou kind of thing.
Oh,
Except they're
even
not throwing-
worse.
So they're not throwing like millions of people at the screen, but
Oh gosh,
yeah.
even worse. But no, I feel bad for you, Hunter, and I feel bad for the 3 other people that have played that game as well. So.
My heart goes out to them.
Yeah, we pray for you and your safe return to sanity. Anyway, back to the big boy himself. It's Kyle. Yo, Kyle, what are you going to talk about now for 10 minutes?
Alrighty. So, about a year ago, I picked up Pokemon Sword and Shield, and I blitzed through the main story in 10 hours.
Yeah.
If you care about story in a Pokemon game, good for you. I'm not going to say you play the game wrong, but it's not worth just playing it for the story. What I play Pokemon for is the online content, and the support that Sword and Shield has had over this past year of COVID times was genuinely amazing. The Game Freak kept adding new series, keeping the game fresh, keeping the metagame different, changing it every couple months, making sure it didn't get stale. There was one season they did where, for 2 months, the top 16 Pokemon from the last season, the top 16 most used Pokemon were banned. So people had to then adjust and be like, okay, what's good outside of the top 20? Like, I just think, and in addition to all of that, they had Players Cup 1 and 2, which Players Cup 1 was basically the substitute for the World Tournament, and Players Cup 2 was just another event that they ran. Open to anybody if you participated in the thing to get registered for it, and he won enough games and got seeded. Like, anybody could participate from your own house, so you didn't even need to worry about traveling somewhere to take part in this, and I thought that was super cool. I think Players Cup 3 happened or is currently happening. I don't know, I'm not paying attention, but I think that Game Freak has done a really great job of keeping Sword and Shield going and not just putting out the VGC format for the year and saying, all right, kids, you have fun with this for a year. See you in 2022. Yeah. Like, they've done a great job, and I really love how they've handled everything.
Yeah. I can quickly add Sun and Moon to this for different reasons. One, I think my thing with Sword and Shield is I like Sword and Shield as a Pokemon just because they're fine. Like, but it's a Pokemon game. I think they did a great job with the Galar region. I really like, bar the wild area, which I just don't care for. But that isn't. Oh, it's underpowered and it's a mess. It's just, to me, I just don't really like that kind of idea of roaming. It just seems a bit shit. It's like, it's not Pokemon's a linear RPG. It doesn't need to have this open area to me. So I just don't like it in general. But in terms of the region itself, the story's shit. But spoiler alert, 6 out of 8 gens have shit fucking stories. Let's be real here. Like, it's like people who are complaining about Sword and Shield story, and I'm like, have you seen the rest of the fucking schmucks it's after? Like, go, yeah, Gen 1, fucking pinnacle of storytelling, boys. Fucking, yeah. No, they're all shit. Except for, like, Gen 5.
Gen 2 and Gen 3.
Even Gen 2 and 3, I think, have a really simple fucking story. I don't think there's anything groundbreaking. They serve their purpose, but there's nothing groundbreaking there. I think Gen 5 is, to be honest, the only one that tried to have a story in a Pokemon game. So take that for what it's worth. But no, for me, Sun and Moon are worse games than Sword and Shield. Always will be. But the one thing that I will give...
We hate Gen 7. We hate Gen 7 on this podcast.
The one thing I'll give Game Freak is, even though the region sucks from a design perspective and how it's crafted, I think that they nailed the actual aesthetics of Hawaii and the Alola region. I think that game looks... For 3DS, it runs like ass on original 3DSs. It runs fine on new 3DS, but in terms of the actual feel of that region, it feels like Hawaii. It feels like they nailed that job. They did a really good job. It's just a shame that the actual design of these islands is garbage. And it feels so linear.
I can agree with that.
because there is stuff to like about the aesthetics of Gen 7. It's just, man, the gameplay lets it down. So, yeah, that was just a little bit that I wanted to add.
That's the generation that introduced the regional variants too, right?
Yeah, also a cool thing that's in them.
Yeah, that's a cool idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which I was surprised that they hadn't done sooner, to be honest. It was a good idea. And then, finally, I guess I'll add one that isn't a Pokemon just real quick for me. I am gonna say... See, I have Destruction All-Stars on here for the similar reason you have Overwatch, which is its cast is really fucking diverse, and I really like the world that they've attempted to build. It's just I don't think it has the game to back it up. But I'm not gonna say it because it just feels like we're going over the same points that we have already previously.
We're saving that for the review.
Yeah, that's going to come out soon if I can have the motivation to write it, because it's really hard to write a review about a game that you really don't care about. No, the game I'm going to talk about is Crash Bandicoot Mind Over Mutant.
Oh.
Get ready,
boy.
Kids. Get ready. We're in for a ride, buddy boy. Not Titans, Mind Over Mutant. Because the thing with Mind Over Mutant is the gameplay is fucking trash. Awful fucking game in terms of gameplay. But man, go and watch the cutscenes back. And go and look at the writing at that video game. The writing of that video game is fucking excellent.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually... It makes me laugh all the time when I go back and watch those cutscenes. They're great. Honestly, the writing... and just the way that they portrayed the characters in Mind Over Mutant in particular. Not fucking Titans, because what they did with fucking Tiny is a bit of a cringe fest.
Oh, man. Pour one out.
Yeah, but...
Poor guy.
But in Mind Over Mutant, like, Cortex is great. The fact that they brought Brio back and they brought him in as this bitter fucking guy who is sorely there just to hate on everything and screw, like, I was in the first game is still an incredible line. Where,
yeah.
Fucking love it. And all the other characters, like Nolan North's engine, I still think will always be peak engine. Is Nolan North's engine?
I know your weakness. Bullets.
Yeah. Excellent. And just the animation styles that they went with. I loved the idea of doing every cutscene in a different style of cartoon, as if because everyone always says when they're making a Crash Bandicoot game, it's the fucking spiel line. It's like whenever Modern Warfare rolls up and talks about its fucking audio design every time, fucking Crash Bandicoot's coming out and going, well, we want Crash Bandicoot to feel like a Saturday morning cartoon. And then that's the thing that they do every fucking time. It's this, like, go back to fucking NST where they say Saturday morning cartoon and then look at NST and go, I don't remember Saturday morning cartoons looking like ass, but hey, you do you, Vicarious Visions. But the fact that they did every single fucking cutscene in a different style based on a different TV animation, like you've got Dragon Ball, you've got fucking old timey tunes, like kind of old Steamboat Willie kind of shit in there. You've got everything in between. I fucking love the art style that they did for that. It's just a shame the game's absolute shit. But man,
I can't believe WandaVision stole that idea.
Yeah, I can't believe WandaVision stole from Crash Mind Over Mutant. You heard it here first, kids. Write it down. Go start tweeting that out.
Believe all of this information we're telling you.
Exactly.
We would never lie to you.
We would never lie to you.
Well, I guess that we have enough time. We can do one more round of games. I'm trying to get it right this time, guys. Games that we love, that we have something that we don't like in them. There we go. Hunter, this is it. You're up. Final time on this convoluted topic. Please like and share this video so that it gets out there, because the YouTube algorithm's not going to fucking love this one. So if you enjoy it, please fucking share.
Yeah, please.
Anyway, Hunter, go ahead, bud.
Sorry, I'm drawing a blank on my last one.
You don't do this to me. Don't do this to me. We need content, damn it.
Hold on a second. No, it isn't.
We interrupt this podcast to talk about our sponsor for today's episode. Wow, it's the YouTube channel for Hot Gamers Only at bit.ly/HGOYT. You can go and hit us with a sub, get us to 100 subs so we can have a custom URL. That'd be absolutely great. Remember, leave us a positive review on podcast services such as iTunes. That really helps boost us in the ratings. And yeah, if you want to find out what we're on, you can always go to Anchor. That's our podcast provider, anchor.fm/hotgamersonly. And you too can go and check on what we're on. And you can just go and listen on Anchor if you want, if you're a weirdo like that. But yeah, other than that, I'm running out of things to say. So please, Hunter, for the love of everything, please remember what the damn game is. As I'm running out of things to plug.
Pass the mic to me if you need more time.
Do you need more time, Hunter?
Go ahead.
Go on, Kyle.
I suck.
Yeah, you do.
All right. So my last one is kind of a catch-all for a specific genre of games. It's projectile fighters and fighting games. If you play a projectile spam character, you're scum, and I despise you on principle. You genuinely play the game in the most unfun, campy way possible, and you really just ruined my experience. Like, playing against a projectile character, you need to completely rewire your brain to how you're supposed to play any normal matchup, and think, okay, how do I approach this character when they have a mountain of shit in front of them, and they can hit me from the other side of the screen, and all I have is a sword? Like, I think, like, the biggest offenders, Smash Ultimate is, kind of infamous for this. Characters like any flavor of Link, you have Ness and Lucas, both of the Belmonts, and Snake as the notable ones. Like, it's so gross just how reliant they are
We hate GA, smiley face. I don't think GA is a projectile character.
No,
but
I just wanted to add it, just the context.
And then, even before this podcast, before we started recording this episode, I was playing BlazBlue, as I do. BB Tag, great game. I love it to pieces. I've put about 200 hours into that game since December.
Pretty cringe.
Fucking great. 4 characters bogged down my experience. And the 2 most infamous ones, Yukiko and Hilda, genuinely unfun to play against. Yukiko has this massive persona she can summon as a wall to just space you out that way. She's got fans she can throw at you, and it's just so gross. Hilda can hit you from anywhere on the screen and just not give a shit. All of her moves are projectiles. It's ugly. I'm rambling at this point. And I just want to say, if you play projectiles again, I hate you. You genuinely ruined my fun. And you take my night and you just ruin it. You ruined my night with your shitty, campy playstyle. Thank you. Hunter, do you figure out what you want to say?
Okay, so I didn't remember the original one, so I guess I'll just talk about a catch-all, things that irritate me in Zelda games. All right.
Twilight Princess's intro.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good place to start. The first 2 hours or so of Twilight Princess, maybe 3. It's been a long time since I've played it because of the beginning. It's really slow and boring and not fun. Once you finally get to a dungeon, it finally becomes interesting again. Or for the first time in that game, actually. And the sad part is, like, a lot of the dungeons in Twilight Princess are really cool, barring the water one. But that's a given.
Yeah.
But I never replay it, or I've only replayed it like twice because of the really slow introduction. And it's very frustrating. The next time I play it, I'm just gonna have a save always loaded at the beginning of the Forest Temple. The Water Temple in Ocarina of Time, I never enjoy going back to. It's as bad as people make it out to be, in my opinion.
What's the fucking monster one in Ocarina of Time?
Jabu Jabu?
Yeah. I just want it on record that Jabu Jabu is that fucking dull that I quit the game. I just want people to know that. Like, honestly.
Yeah, Jabu Jabu is also boring. It's my least favorite of the 3 that you do as a kid.
Yeah,
for
it's
sure.
awful.
Jabu Jabu and Master Quest is cool because for no reason the developers put cows on the wall.
Oh, nice.
Well, that's fun.
I don't know why, but they did it.
Nice.
Let's see.
I thought
Some
you
of
were
the
gonna-
boss designs in Skyward Sword are bland. Like, a lot of it boils down to putting googly eyes on things. Like,
Dude,
the sand ship. The sand
Yeah.
ship is genuinely the coolest dungeon in the game, and is capped off by a boss that looks like basically Mike Wazowski and his girlfriend's child bloated up. And it's a bummer.
Dude, don't forget all those imprisoned fights.
Oh, yeah. Also looks like a Monsters, Inc. monster.
Mike Wazowski.
The top-down games, essentially, I don't really care for any of the dungeons in those. So, there's that. They're always
I
like
can
in
agree
through
with
one
that.
ear, out the other. Nothing interesting about them.
I can agree with that. None of the
yeah.
dungeons in Link to the Past really stood out to me,
Yeah, except
which
the one
I'm
that
sure
kept
is probably
spitting you
heresy
out.
to people who like the game.
That's exactly my issue with Link to the Past, is that the dungeons don't speak to me at all. And, yeah.
Like, I just remember the annoying ones, like in the Dark World Lost Forest.
Yeah, where the dungeon just spits you out into different locations.
Yeah,
and you
I just
go
remember
back
that
into
one
the
being a
overworld.
particular headache.
Yeah, that one was irritating, and that's the only one I can remember specifically what the dungeon is.
Yeah. The rest of them
So,
just kind
yeah.
of blend together.
I like the Zelda series a lot, but each game has its share of issues. Voila.
Yeah, I can feel that. I don't have much to add because genuinely I've played like Wind Waker and half of Ocarina, and so I've like got nothing really to add. Right. Anyway, but if we haven't scared people off with Hunter forgetting stuff, me blatantly advertising, Kyle throwing out a whole group of fighting types and fighting games,
Throw their shit.
Then
It's not fighting. You want to throw shit? Go play a fucking shooter.
Well, then we're
Go
gonna
play
get
a fighting game.
Well,
You're
then we're
stand
gonna
on one side of the map.
we're gonna get rid of the
Fuck.
rest of them because we're gonna get political. Because my final, yeah, dude, my final critique of things I hate in games that I love is I hate fucking homophobia in Persona, and that is the
man.
I just hate transphobia and homophobia in Persona. That is the one. And to be fair, you can take Persona out of this and just put the word JRPGs instead. That also works because it's very rare for a JRPG to not fuck this up. Ironically, Final Fantasy VII Remake did all right with that fucking regard with this kind of stuff. So fair play to that bit. There's still time for them to fuck it up because there's like 7 parts of that game left, but we'll see. But no, I'm just
They'd have
like...
to invent something to mess up at that point, though.
Yeah, true.
Don't put it past Nomura.
Yeah, don't put it past Nomura. Kingdom Hearts is also a great example of this in a way. Because everyone used to ship fucking Riku and Sora, and Nomura was like, no, we can't be having that now, can we?
I think that's just fans letting their expectations get ahead of themselves.
I don't know. Have you played Kingdom Hearts 2? That's an energy
have.
right there.
I have.
Usually I'm just like...
I feel like people are letting it get ahead of themselves.
You see, I don't. It's one of you. Most of the times, I'm like, yeah, I can see people getting ahead of themselves. But then
Definitely, the story treats Riku like he's more important than Kairi, but I don't feel like that's necessarily leading into Sora and Riku having a thing for each other beyond friendship.
Oh, I don't know, dude. The way he looks at him during that, when he comes back, that.
No, he doesn't just look at Riku. He drops to his knees.
Yeah, he
and
drops to his knees
falls.
and wept. Yeah, like
Oh, man.
But no,
he
anyway.
breaks down, and then he just gives Kairi a friendship hug.
Yeah. And Nomura was like, fine, then we'll fix it in Kingdom Hearts 3. We'll just have them two not fucking do anything. We'll just have them talk to each other maybe once or twice in the whole game. But anyway, I digress.
We'll put Riku in the world of darkness for the game.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
But no, in general, just Persona's the one that strikes out to me, because in Persona 5, you have those two obviously gay characters, and they treat them like absolute dog shit, especially in base game. And I just want to say, Atlas West tried to fix it, but I still think they did a shit job in Royal, because just saying that they're basically drag queens is not fixing a fucking problem. That's not fixing a problem. You're still stereotyping people,
yeah,
and it's still fucking awful.
In of itself.
That's still fucking awful. Persona 4, fucking worse, because they try and do topics of like transgender issues and like finding your sexuality, which, to be fair, especially with the transgender thing, I think that's just something that's aged with the game, not necessarily something they went out to try and do. But I digress. Especially with fucking Yosuke's hatred and times towards fucking Kanji, just to the fact that he's gay, is just fucking awful. And I hate it's one of those things where I'm like, I hope this isn't a fucking rabbit hole where it gets worse and worse the further back we go, whereas in Persona 1 they're like hunting people down. I'm like, no, let's hope it stops at 4 with that kind of shit. But man, just Japan needs to just learn to chill, or if Japan's not fucking wanting to change that kind of shit, then that should be the localization's job. The localization should not be keeping this shit in. You're getting paid to make this game suitable for a Western audience, so do your fucking job and change it. It's not hard. The amount of times that I look at something and I'm like, this is a text change. You could have very easily have just changed the text here and fixed it, and they haven't. And it just pisses me off. I know a lot of people will be like, get fucking aggro when quote-unquote censorship happens, which I just most of the time like to call just decency patches, because they take what is absolutely ludicrous and reel it back in for a normal audience. But man, yeah. Persona in particular, JRPGs are also...
Censorship gets brought up.
Yeah. I hate censorship talks, to be honest, because
so
whenever censorship gets brought up in games, it's never for the right reasons. It's never it's never something like, oh, this scene was so grotesque that we censored it and people getting angry at that. It's always horny people getting angry that they've been censored, or something along those lines.
I remember back when Xenoblade X was coming out, and it came out that the localization removed the breast slider on create a character, and they also made it so that your 14-year-old female party member couldn't wear a bunny suit.
And people got aggro, dude. Fucking riots in the streets. What the fuck you doing? No, it's dumb. I hate it. But no. I hope things change, which they are starting to change in Japan slowly but surely. But man, censoring the wrong things and then just blatant, just fucking... If you have a Western team, have them do their fucking job. And don't just have them go, oh, shit. I don't know. To me, it just seems like a moot point, really. If you're porting it to the West, do a decent job at it. Don't just fucking leave something in and go, oh, it's Japan. We can have homophobia in our game, because Japan.
It's wacky Japanese.
Yeah, it's weird.
Anyway, there we go. Otherwise, great games, but just... chill a bit, guys. Chill. Simple as that. But no, with that, I guess we're done on that downer of a note. There you go. There's some games that we love to hate or hate to love, whatever. Who gives one? YouTube won't like this one, I can already tell. Good episode, though. I enjoyed it, and we hope you did. Make sure to hit that like button so that YouTube knows, please. Anyway, with that, Hunter, where can people find you?
youtube.com/ReaperHunter23.
Kyle, where can people find you?
You can find me both on Twitter and Twitch at KDavisSRL.
Nice, and you can find me at Chaotic Ether on both Twitter and Twitch. Thank you ever so much for listening or watching this week. We'll be back next week with hopefully something that the YouTube algorithm will respect. I'm saying that this will be our most watched episode ever, knowing my luck, now that I've said that in the podcast.
I'd be happy with
really
that.
Funny.
This was a fun episode.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. Sorry for talking so much.
Nah, it's fine.
It long.
Hey, it's fine. It's only an hour and a half. I'm sure it'll render in no time.
Oh, shit, we've got time.
No, we don't. But with that, thank you so much for listening. Remember to follow on your favourite podcast services, leave a positive review, and as always, go and subscribe to the HGO YouTube channel at bit.ly/HGOYT. We really would appreciate it. We'll be back same time, same place next week for more. But until then, have an amazing week, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Toodaloo.